The sky is still pale when the peddler stirs from rest. Morning has not yet drawn its full light across the landscape, but the faintest edge of day can be seen beyond the shutters. The small lodging where he has spent the night is quiet. The sounds of others in the household are still some time away. This silence is familiar to him. The earliest hours are often his alone, marked by the steady rhythm of preparation. Before we drift into tonight's story, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss a gentle journey through history. His pack lies near the low bench by the wall, its straps coiled, its sides leaning slightly where it rested overnight. The wooden frame within is sturdy, worn smooth at the edges from years of travel. He lifts it carefully and sets it on the floor, adjusting it so that it will stand firm while he works. The air is cool at this hour, and the wood feels slightly damp to the touch, as if it is drawn in the night's moisture. Next to the pack are small bundles wrapped in cloth. He begins to open them, one after another, unfolding the neat corners. That kept the goods safe during rest. Inside there are ribbons of muted colors, reds softened by time, pale blues, and earthen browns. They are carefully coiled, each one tied with a thin thread so it does not unravel. He lays them out in a straight line on the bench, pausing to smooth a fold or retie a loose thread. From another bundle, he reveals small metal goods, pins, needles, and simple buckles. Each piece catches the weak morning light in a faint glimmer. They are kept together in a cloth pouch, the fabric thick enough to keep the sharp points from piercing through. He tips them out gently, spreading them across. The cloth then begins to sort them into smaller groups, longer pins in one section, buckles in another. His hands move without hurry, each gesture deliberate, shaped by the habit of many mornings like this. There is also a small box of combs, carved from wood and bone. Their teeth are fine, the edges smoothed by careful shaping. He opens the lid of the box and checks that each comb is intact, then closes it again with a quiet tap. These combs are valued in the villages, simple items that make life a little more orderly. When the goods are inspected, he begins the work of placing them into the pack. At the very bottom, he lays a folded cloth to soften the weight. Above it, he stacks the small wooden box and the cloth pouch, pressing them flat so they will not shift on the road. The ribbons he rolls tighter, tucking them into the side spaces where they will stay secure. Every object has its place, arranged so that he may find them quickly when the time comes to display them. He pauses once to sit on the bench, glancing around the room to be sure nothing has been left aside. A small ledger rests on the table, its cover plain, its pages filled with steady handwriting. He opens it briefly, noting the names of places he has visited and the goods he has sold. The ink is dark but not fresh. This entry was made days before, when he stopped in another village along his route. With a small nod, he closes the ledger and slips it into the narrow pocket of the pack. The straps are checked next. He runs his hand along the leather, feeling for cracks or worn spots. Where the stitching shows signs of strain, he knots a short piece of cord as reinforcement. These repairs are minor, but they ensure the pack will bear the long weight of the road without trouble. He adjusts the buckles so they rest evenly, testing the length with a pull. The faint creak of leather answers, steady and familiar. Outside, the light grows stronger. The shapes of the buildings across the lane are now visible through the cracks in the shutter. A cart rolls by in the distance, its wheels muffled on earth, not stone. The day is beginning, though not yet fully awake. The peddler ties the final knot on his pack and lifts it once to his shoulder. He lets the weight settle, then lowers it again, adjusting the straps slightly for balance. The motion is slow, practiced. He will carry it for many hours, and comfort depends on these careful adjustments. On the low table, a cloth remains folded. He takes it up and shakes it out once, then folds it neatly again. This will serve as the covering on which his goods will be displayed when he reaches a market or village square. It is plain but clean, with no markings to distract from the items placed upon it. He tucks it into the top of the pack, leaving its edge visible for quick use. At last, everything is in order. The bundles are packed, the straps secured, the ledger stored, the cloth folded. The pack now stands ready, firm and balanced. The gun. Peddler rests a hand on its side for a moment, then lets it go. His morning work is complete. When the door is opened, the cool air of dawn flows in, carrying the faint scents of soil and wood smoke. He steps outside with his pack at his side, ready for the long road ahead. The day has only just begun, and already the rhythm of travel is quietly set in motion. The lane beyond the house stretches gently toward the countryside, its surface a mixture of worn stones and packed earth. In some places, grass has begun to grow between the stones, softening the way. The peddler adjusts his pack onto his shoulders, feeling the familiar weight settle evenly across his back. With both hands, he tugs the straps once more to be sure they hold. Then he begins to walk, his steps steady and unhurried. The morning air is cool and clear. A faint mist still clings to the low ground, curling around the edges of hedgerows and drifting across shallow ditches by the roadside. Each breath carries the freshness of damp soil, mixed with the dry, faint scent of crushed grass beneath his boots. The sound of his footfall is muffled on the earth, the rhythm even unchanging. As he walks, the landscape opens around him. 2. His left lie fields edged with wooden fences, some newly mended, their posts darkened by dew. Beyond them, rows of young crops stretch out in quiet lines, their green soft by the pale morning light. To his right, a stand of tall trees rises, their branches stirring slightly as the air moves. The rustle of leaves joins the steady sound of his footsteps, a layered rhythm that matches the pace of the road. Every so often he passes a milestone. Set by the path, a simple stone upright, marked with carved numbers that are worn smooth by time and weather. He glances at it briefly, then continues without pause. These markers are familiar companions, silent witnesses to his many journeys. They tell him how far he has come and how far he has yet to go, though he already knows the road well. The sun climbs slowly, its light strengthening. It falls across the peddler's shoulders, warming the leather straps of his pack. Shadows stretch long across the lane, each one shifting as he moves. Birds cross overhead from one hedgerow to another, their wings beating quickly before they vanish into the leaves. Now and then one calls, its note clear in the quiet morning air. The peddler's steps remain measured. His pace is neither fast nor slow, but steady, chosen to last through the day. He shifts the pack slightly from one shoulder to the other, balancing the load without breaking stride. The sound of small metal goods inside, pins and buckles, gives the faintest rattle with each movement, a soft reminder of the work he carries. As the road bends, he passes a cottage set back behind a wooden gate. Smoke rises faintly from its chimney, though the house itself remains still. A dog barks once, then quiets. The peddler continues on, neither speeding nor slowing, only lifting his hand in a silent gesture of greeting should anyone within be watching. The lane narrows, for a time lined with hedges that grow close on either side. The air here feels cooler, shaded from the sun, and the sounds are softer, the brush of leaves against each other, the faint drip of dew falling from branches. His footsteps echo slightly more in this narrow space, each sound overlapping with the next. When the path opens again, the countryside stretches wide. Gentle hills roll into the distance, their slopes marked with the patterns of fields and hedgerows. A line of trees traces the course of a stream, its water not yet visible, but heard as a low, steady murmur. The peddler pauses for a moment at the edge of the rise, taking in the view, before continuing. The rhythm of walking is as much a part of his trade as the goods he carries. Each mile covered brings him to another village, another cluster of houses, another place where ribbons, combs, or pins may find use. Yet the road itself is also familiar, a place where his thoughts move as steadily as his feet. He does not hurry, for the day is long, and the road will bring him where he needs to be in its own time. As the morning stretches toward midday, the sounds of the countryside shift. Birds grow quieter, replaced by the distant creak of a cart somewhere beyond the fields. A farmer's voice carries faintly across the air, though the words are indistinct. The steady trickle of the unseen stream grows louder as the lane draws nearer to its banks. The peddler steps aside once to let another traveler pass, a man leading a small cart pulled by a single horse. They exchange a brief nod, nothing more, each continuing on their way. Such meetings are common but seldom lingered upon. The road belongs to all, and each person carries their own purpose along it. The steady walk resumes, the pack resting firmly against his back, the sound of boots on earth marking each step. The road continues forward, unrolling mile after mile, carrying him steadily toward the next village. The road bends gently and begins to slope downward, leading toward the first village of the day. From a distance, the outlines of cottages become visible. Low, timber-framed walls, roofs slanting steeply, smoke drifting faintly from chimneys. The lane narrows as it enters the cluster of houses, the cobblestones uneven, where cart wheels have worn them smooth over time. The peddler slows his pace, not from weariness, but from the rhythm of the place. Villages have their own quiet order, and he fits himself into it without disturbing the flow. His steps remain steady, but his eyes take in the details. A doorway half open, a small garden fenced with woven willow, a cart propped on its side for repair. These sights are familiar to him, repeated in village after village, yet each one is shaped by its own people and habits. Children notice him first. A pair of them pause in their play, wooden toys in hand, and watch as he passes. Their eyes follow the pack, for they know that it carries objects from beyond the edges of their village. Sometimes it means a ribbon, a pin, or a comb may appear here, small things, yet unusual enough to spark curiosity. The peddler offers a faint nod, and the children, encouraged, call a quiet greeting before returning to their game. At the edge of the village square, he rests for a moment near a well. The rope and bucket stand ready, the wood darkened from years of use. The sound of water echoes faintly as someone nearby draws a small measure. The square is simple, a teal and simple A. Few benches, a post where notices are sometimes hung, a space kept open for gatherings or trade. The peddler does not yet spread his goods. Today he will only pass through, saving his full display for the larger town farther on. Still, he pauses long enough for people to see him, to know he is here and may return another day. An older woman steps from her doorway and offers a greeting. She asks if he carries needles this season, for her supply is running low. The peddler shifts his pack, unfastens a strap, and withdraws a small pouch. He shows her the contents, neat rows of slender, gleaming points. She examines them closely, selects a few, and exchanges them with him for a small coin. Their voices remain low, almost blending into the stillness of the square. Further along, a young man repairing a wooden gate looks up as the peddler approaches. He sets down his hammer, wipes his hands, and inquires after buckles strong enough. For straps. Again, the peddler opens his pack, revealing a small selection. The man chooses two and thanks him, then returns quietly to his work. No crowd forms, no bustle follows. Each exchange is calm, personal, measured. The peddler continues through the village, his boots sounding softly on the cobblestones. A woman carrying a basket pauses to glance at the ribbons tied neatly in the Ein side of his pack. She does not buy today, but her look suggests she will remember them when next he returns. Such moments are part of his trade. Not every visit ends in a sale, but each one leaves a quiet trace, a connection for the future. The road leads out of the village as gently as it led in. The cottages grow fewer, the gardens give way again to open fields. Behind him, the sounds of daily work resume. The hollow knock of a hammer, the quiet cluck of hens, the low murmur of voices. Ahead, the lane stretches on, carrying him toward the next settlement. The peddler does not hurry. His work is not measured only by the coins he receives, but by the steady presence he maintains along these routes. Villages come and go, but the rhythm of walking, pausing, and moving forward remains the same. With each step beyond the cottages, the countryside returns, and the road once again becomes his companion. If you're enjoying this quiet stroll through history, don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful stories like this. By late morning, the peddler has walked many miles. The sun now stands higher, its warmth falling steadily across the open fields and hedgerows. The mist of dawn has long since lifted, leaving the air clear and bright. His steps remain steady, but the familiar weight of the pack reminds him it is time to pause. The road passes a stretch of open meadow bordered by a line of tall trees. Their leaves stir gently, offering patches of shade that fall across the ground in dappled patterns. The peddler turns from the lane and walks a few paces onto the grass, choosing a spot near a flat stone that rises slightly from the earth. Here he sets down his pack, easing the straps from his shoulders with care. The quiet sigh of leather and wood settling into the grass marks the relief of rest. He lowers himself onto the stone, its surface warmed by the sun. For a moment he simply sits, letting the silence of the countryside settle around him. The only sounds are the distant calls of birds, the rustle of leaves above, and the faint hum of insects moving through the meadow. The steady rhythm of walking has ended, replaced now by stillness. From the side pocket of his pack, he withdraws a small flask of water. Its stopper is tightly sealed with cloth, keeping the contents cool. He drinks slowly, each swallow measured, the water carrying the taste of clear stone and stream from where it was filled earlier. Afterward, he pours a little onto his hands, rubbing them together lightly to wash away the dust of the road. He takes a folded piece of cloth from the pack and spreads it across his knees. Inside are a few simple provisions: a piece of bread, wrapped in linen, a slice of hard cheese, and a handful of dried fruit. He eats without hurry, breaking the bread into small pieces, pairing each one with a morsel of fruit. The cheese is firm, its flavor plain but steady, enough to give strength. For the miles ahead, between bites, he looks across the meadow. The grass bends in slow waves as the breeze moves through it. At the far edge, cattle graze quietly, their shapes distinct against the backdrop of trees. Beyond them, the land rises gently, leading toward another line of low hills. The sky above is wide and pale, its few scattered clouds drifting lazily without urgency. The peddler leans back slightly, resting his hands on the stone. He allows his eyes to close for a short while, not to sleep, but to listen more closely. The sounds of the countryside are clearer this way. The steady chorus of insects, the shifting leaves, the distant creak of a cart axle somewhere beyond the meadow. Each sound carries its own calm rhythm, blending into a single pattern that marks the hour. After some time, he opens his eyes again and begins to tidy his small meal. The cloth is folded carefully, the flask returned to its pocket, the crumbs brushed from his lap. Nothing is left scattered. Everything returns to its place. He lifts the pack once more, sliding the straps onto his shoulders with practiced ease. The weight feels familiar again, no heavier than before, balanced evenly across his back. Before leaving, he takes one last look across the meadow. The cattle have moved slightly, the grass still sways, and the air remains warm. He nods once, more to himself than to the scene, then steps back onto the road. His pace resumes, steady as before, the sound of boots on earth marking his return to the day's journey. The rest has been brief but enough. The road stretches on, and he follows it calmly, each step bringing him closer to the next village and the quiet rhythm of trade. The lane curves once more and begins to widen. Fields give way to cottages, then to a larger square where stone buildings stand close together. This is not a large town, but it is larger than the villages passed earlier. The cobblestones here are smoother, worn down by many footsteps, many carts, many years of gatherings. At the square's center rises a stone cross, simple in shape, its base broad enough to serve as a place of rest. Around it, people move quietly, tending to the business of the day. The peddler steps into the square with steady pace, the weight of his pack shifting slightly on his shoulders. He chooses a place near the edge of the cross's base, where there is space to sit and spread his cloth. It is a familiar spot, shaded partly by a tall building, yet open enough for people to notice as they pass. He lowers the pack carefully to the ground, loosens the straps, and draws out the folded cloth he keeps for display. With both hands, he shakes it gently once, then lays it across the stone base, smoothing the corners so it lies flat. From the pack, he begins to place his goods. First, the ribbons coiled and arranged in neat lines, their colors soft in the daylight, faded red, pale blue, muted green, each tied at the center with a thread. Then the cones, set in a small row, their polished surfaces catching glints of light. After that, the small metal goods, pins sorted by length, buckles arranged by size. Each item is given space, ordered not in a crowded cluster, but with room to be seen clearly. The townsfolk take notice. A woman carrying a basket pauses, leaning slightly forward to examine the ribbons. She does not speak at once, but her hand hovers near the cloth, measuring the shade of one against her own sleeve. The peddler waits silently, allowing her the time she needs. When she nods and chooses, he passes the ribbon to her, accepts a coin, and returns to arranging the rest. The exchange is quiet, unhurried, almost a part of the square's natural rhythm. A young boy lingers near the cones, his gaze steady on their carved teeth. The peddler lifts one gently, showing him its smooth edge, then sets it back down in its place. The boy smiles faintly before being called away by an older relative. No sale is made, yet the boy will remember the sight, and perhaps on another day return. From the other side of the square, a man approaches with measured steps. His clothing suggests he tends animals or fields, his boots carrying the dust of the road. He examines the buckles with a practiced eye, lifting one to test its weight. After a moment's thought, he selects two and exchanges them for a small handful of coins. His voice is brief, his thanks quiet, before he moves on again. The peddler continues to sit calmly, his hands folding ribbons, straightening lines, adjusting a position of goods as they are taken or examined. There is no urgency. Each visitor comes in their own time, stays as long as they wish, and leaves at their own pace. The square hums softly with the sounds of people speaking, animals shifting near carts, and the faint splash of water from a nearby well. Over the course of the hour, several more passers-by stop. Some purchase, others only look. Each interaction is small, yet each carries its own weight in the day's work. The coins collected are placed neatly into a pouch, tied securely, then set back within the pack. Nothing is hurried. Everything is done with steady, practiced care. As the sun shifts toward the afternoon, the peddler begins to gather his goods. Again, one by one, the ribbons are coiled, the cones stacked, the pins wrapped back into their cloth pouch. Each item is checked before it is returned to its place, ensuring nothing is lost or damaged. The display cloth is folded once more, corners squared, then tucked neatly at the top of the pack. When the last strap is tightened, the peddler lifts the pack once more onto his shoulders. He rests a moment by the cross, watching the square continue its rhythm of daily life. Then, with quiet steps, he leaves the market, moving steadily toward the road that will carry him to his evening's rest. The afternoon light begins to soften as the peddler leaves the town behind. The road carries him onward, bordered now by open fields on one side and a stretch of woodland on the other. The shadows grow longer, and the warmth of the sun eases into a gentler glow. His steps remain steady, though slower now, shaped by the weight of the day's travel. The pack rests firmly on his back, lighter than in the morning, though still full enough to remind him of his trade. Each coin earned today is secured in the pouch tied deep within. The goods that remain are carefully folded and arranged, ready for the next village or town along his route. As he walks, the air cools, carrying the scent of damp earth from the shaded woods. A bird calls once, then falls silent. The road itself seems quieter, fewer travelers passing now that the day is nearing its end. He knows from long habit that it is time to think of shelter, a place to rest before darkness settles. Not far ahead lies a small farmstead set back from the lane. Its thatched roof is visible above the hedge, and the sound of animals carries faintly across the field. A cart rests near the gate, its shafts propped upright, showing the day's work is done. The peddler pauses, considering. At times he has been offered a corner of a barn or a place by a stable wall. At other times he has found rest beneath trees or by hedges, his cloak serving as his cover. Both are familiar, both sufficient. Today he chooses a quiet spot, not far from the lane. A stand of trees offers shelter, their branches thick enough to shield from the evening breeze. He steps from the road and follows the faint track that leads beneath them. The ground here is soft with fallen leaves, dry enough to lie upon comfortably. He lowers his pack with care, easing the straps from his shoulders and letting it rest against the trunk of a tree. From the side pocket he takes a folded blanket. It is plain, its edges frayed, but it holds the warmth of many nights before. He spreads it neatly on the ground, smoothing the folds, then sits upon it. The relief of rest spreads slowly through his limbs. He stretches his legs, flexes his hands, and allows the stillness of the place to settle around him. The air grows cooler, touched now by the scent of evening. The last light filters through the branches, broken into scattered patches on the ground. He takes out a small piece of bread left from midday and eats it slowly, each bite deliberate, paired with a sip of water from his flask. The meal is simple but sufficient. When finished, he ties the flask closed and sets it back into the pack. For a time, he sits quietly, listening. The woods carry their own sounds. The distant call of a bird settling into roost, the faint stir of leaves overhead, the occasional snap of a twig as some small animal moves unseen. None of it is sharp or alarming. Each sound belongs to the evening, blending into a calm rhythm that marks the hour. As the sky deepens in color, he arranges his pack so it rests close beside him. The blanket is folded once more, this time to serve as both seat and cover. He leans back against the tree trunk, his body settling into familiar stillness. The work of the day is complete. The road has been walked, the goods shown, the exchanges made. Now only rest remains, until the morning begins the pattern again. The last of the light fades, replaced by the pale glow of the rising moon. The peddler closes his eyes, letting the quiet of the countryside gather around him. The world narrows to the steady rhythm of his breath, the cool air against his face, the weight of the pack near at hand. The day has ended, and the road will wait until dawn. Let's pause for just a moment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to join us for more calm stories. The first faint light of morning filters through the branches above. The peddler stirs slowly, rising from his place beneath the trees. The air is cool, touched by dew, the ground soft beneath his feet. Around him the woods are quiet, save for the gentle stir of leaves and the first notes of birds beginning their day. He folds his blanket neatly, brushing away the leaves that have gathered on it during the night. Each fold is precise, the cloth placed carefully back into the pack. The pack itself is checked once more, straps tightened, buckles pulled secure, the weight adjusted across his shoulders until it rests evenly. The road lies waiting beyond the trees. It stretches forward in a pale line of earth and stone, carrying on past hedgerows, fields, and distant hills. The peddler steps onto it without hesitation, his boots finding the rhythm of steady travel once again. Each step is firm but measured, the kind of pace that will last for hours without strain. As he walks, the countryside awakens. Smoke begins to rise from the chimneys of distant cottages. A dog barks faintly, answered by another farther away. The sun lifts higher, warming the fields, sending long beams of light across the road. Birds cross above him in quick, darting flights, their wings catching the brightness of the morning. The pack rests against his back, filled once more with goods, some sold, some still to be offered. The small pouch of coins rests secure, tied deep inside, a quiet record of yesterday's work. Ahead, there are more villages, more squares, more people who may pause to look at ribbons, combs, or pins. The journey is never finished. It only continues, mile by mile, place by place. He passes a milestone by the roadside, its carved numbers worn and softened by weather. He glances at it briefly, as he has so many before, then moves on. Each stone marks distance, but his work is not bound to numbers. His trade is measured instead in the steady pattern of days, walking, showing, selling, resting, and then walking. Again, by midday the road will lead him into another village. There he will pause, not long, perhaps only enough to show a ribbon or a buckle, enough for the people to know he has passed. By afternoon he may reach a larger town, where he will spread his cloth once more by a market cross or a well, arranging his goods in neat lines, as he did the day before. The rhythm will repeat, the careful lifting of the pack, the slow placing of goods, the quiet exchanges, the gathering again at dusk. Each day blends gently into the next, not hurried, not forced, but steady, dependable. The peddler's life is one of movement, yet it is also one of familiarity. The road is his constant companion, its stones, its bends, its milestones. The villages, too, are familiar, each one holding faces he has seen before, doors he has passed, voices he has heard, and low greetings. Nothing is entirely new, and nothing is entirely the same. The road simply continues, and so does he. As the sun rises higher, and the countryside opens wide around him, the peddler walks on, his pack secure, his steps steady, his trade carried forward. The day stretches ahead, quiet and long. Another chapter in the same unbroken pattern of travel. The road beyond waits, and he follows it, calmly, mile by mile, toward whatever place the evening will bring.